Welcome to the Coaching Ignited podcast. I'm your host, Alex Povey. It's great to have you here. This show is all about peeling back the curtain on what's going to help you build the fitness business you truly want. And each week we bring on a new guest to share their stories, insights, and strategies so you too can take action and apply what you learn. The podcast is released every Wednesday on all the major platforms, including Spotify and iTunes. So make sure you go give that a subscribe, guys. Now, if you're a personal trainer in a commercial gym with 500 plus members and you want to fast track your income growth and learn how to sign multiple new clients a week, reach out to me personally through Facebook or Instagram and just drop me a private message so we can get the conversation started and see if you could be a good fit for one of our programs. All the links to my social can be found in the show notes so you can connect with me there. Now let's get into this week's episode. Enjoy the show. Hey, what is up, guys? Hope you're adjusting okay to the current situation. We just went into lockdown last night in the UK. Boris Johnson announced new plans, new measures, in fact, to restrict people to one outdoor training session a day. Could have done with two, but we'll take one. I hope you're adjusting. I hope you were doing well. I hope you were finding some angles and opportunities to grow in the current climate. And this is an episode I actually recorded with Will about 4 weeks ago, where we deep dive into how to hit 10K per month selling online fitness coaching programs. So actually very fitting for the current situation and where we're at in the fitness industry right now, with gyms closing and lockdown measures being imposed in the UK, in Europe, and in other countries. Now is a great time to be looking at how do you scale and grow your online business and how do you maintain some of that income that's coming in to keep you going over the next couple of months. So this is going to be a great episode for you. Make sure you grab a pen and paper, as well as a specialist in helping fitness coaches grow their online offerings using nothing but organic and free marketing methods that all of you can deploy right now in your businesses and on your social networks. So let's get into it. First of all, I want to welcome you on, my man. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much, Alex. I've been tuning into the pod here and there and excited to be a guest, man. You got some good things happening over here, so I'm excited.
So for anyone that's tuning in on Facebook, you'll be able to see Will's got a really well chiseled beard. I was just admiring him on the beard game. I say this all the time, and it's a full-time job maintaining a beard.
Absolutely, and especially up here in the harsh Canadian winters, you need a little bit of face to protect yourself from the harsh conditions up here. So it's a requirement as a man here in Canada, and you just got to do what you got to do, brother.
Yeah, love the beard. So today we're going to be diving into how to hit 10K per month selling fitness coaching. That's a sexy little headline and very hooky. I got it actually from your profile because obviously that's what you help people do in the fitness space, and we'll get into that. But for anyone listening, what is it exactly that you do, Will? How do you help fit pros?
Yeah. So I help fit pros who are either starting the transition online or currently don't know how exactly those systems are in order to make that happen. Help them understand what that essentially journey is going to look like in order to go full-time online and start hitting those 5-figure months consistently and with predictability with their online fitness coaching. And I do it through a different model in a different way than what a lot of other business coaches are teaching. Just like we were talking about before we hit record here, a little bit less on the numbers, a little bit less on the metrics, and more being very, very human focused and diving deep into human psychology, what makes decisions in terms of just our biology, our chemistry, our psychology as humans, and really doubling down on what our deepest desires are and appealing to that versus playing the numbers game and really going deep into what exactly that transition looks like is what I focus on.
Well, we were actually discussing how the market is changing. It's evolving. It's not as easy as just sending out DMs and booking phone calls. There's more to it in this market. The market's become way more sophisticated when it comes to selling fitness coaching. Everyone's been served a lot of the same offers, promise the same programs, the same mechanisms, the same concepts. So the audience is kind of getting intelligent and wise to online coaches selling fitness. Let's dive into that. Let's unpack that for a second. How do you see things changing at the moment? How do you see the market changing going forward in 2020 and beyond? What's different now to maybe like 5 years ago when it comes to selling fitness, selling coaching?
Yeah, well, even question for you before we get into it. Like, what is the number one kind of tactic or strategy that you see most coaches doubling down on right away when they first want to transition online? Like, what is that main thing that you see?
Probably going into Facebook groups,
Yeah,
friending people and
yeah.
DMing people.
Yeah. So that's, if everybody is doing that, which everybody is, and sending out those DMs over time, and we're at that time, and it's starting to increase as well. It's everybody is privy to that. All of your ideal types of clients are seeing that. And in order to stand out, in order to start really making sure that your strategy is differentiated, your strategy is something that is more specific to your ideal type of clients. And if they're getting 10 DMs a day from different coaches who are in the same space as you, how are they going to look at yours and think, okay, I should respond to this. I should take 5 minutes out of my day and have a quick conversation with this coach. And really identifying strategies like that is where the market is headed, and where online coaches need to start thinking more strategically. Because if you're doing the same thing as everybody else is, you're just going to get the same results, and you're just going to get caught into this vicious cycle of trial and error, and working all of these hours per day and not really getting anywhere, and throwing spaghetti against the wall, and nothing is really sticking. And that's essentially where we're at. And especially with kind of the state of the industry, I think there are a lot of old systems and old practices that are being taught that, yeah, maybe they did work in 2017, 2018, even last year, but now they're not really working. And now the market has shifted, the market has changed. So really understanding what this shift looks like moving forward is really important in online coaching, for sure.
Yeah, and like we were speaking about before we went live, the market's getting like much more sophisticated, and it takes more time to nurture those relationships. And it's about having like the systems in place, but also having enough value as a coach to cultivate those relationships and build the trust. Because people are not just going to receive a DM or a message and then hop into the gym and start doing a consult with you, or hop on a phone call and be sold online coaching. There's more steps to the sequence that are really important to acknowledge at this stage of the game, where you've got to really cultivate those relationships, and kind of what you would do offline. You got to spend time getting to know people and building that trust, but also showing like authority, and also showing like credible results as well. Because you've got to be able to back up your claims in this market. It can't just be, hey, I can help you do X, I can help you do Y, I can help you do Z. You've also got to be able to show the evidence for doing that. And anyone that doesn't have the evidence is severely handicapped versus people who have got results. Now, that's difficult if you don't have results, because you've got to start from somewhere. But let's just simplify this for anyone who maybe is working on the floor in a gym or a studio or a boot camp, and they're looking at this online model. They come across you will, and they're curious. They're like, how does this work? How do you go online? How do you go from selling PT to going online? And how is that different? How is it different to just selling sessions on the gym floor, or selling one-to-one PT? What's the key difference?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, the number one key difference between those two different scenarios are, on the floor PT is great because you're in an environment that is just filled with ideal types of clients. And if you're in a good spot and you have a good system, they're all coming to you, which is amazing. And you're in that environment where you don't have to do much work or much differentiation in terms of your message, in terms of how you interact with people, in order to get that interest. Whereas online, it's completely different, where you need to have a clear differentiation strategy. You need to have a clear ideal type of client, and a clear mechanism inside of your coaching that makes you different and makes you stand out. in order to attract those eyeballs, in order to attract that interest, and really make sure that you have that polarity inside of how you communicate, inside of what your position is inside of the market, in order to, again, attract those ideal types of clients to you, of people who are all in types of clients, and clients who would see great results with your program. Because if you're in the gym, yes, it's great, but I mean, you're probably saying the same thing over and over. You'd probably work with anyone in terms of demographic, gender, job, and they're in the gym, or you're just looking for people in the local community. Whereas online, you're competing with the world of fitness. It's not just the local gyms inside of your town. So really doubling down on what you want to narrow in on, and what makes you different, what makes you special, and really becoming that specialist versus that generalist is what's going to give you a little bit more torque inside of your message, inside of how you communicate. And that's what's really going to essentially pave the path to building the brand around what separates you, building a brand, building authority around what your specialty is, and how you can start to attract essentially a community of like-minded ideal types of clients who are specifically interested in that thing, in that result that you've been talking about moving forward.
That's great, Will. And I don't want to sugarcoat like trying to go online. This podcast is all about talking facts, talking truth, and not trying to make this sexy thing, which is going online, seem like an easier thing to do than working the floor in a big box gym. Because let's be honest, it's not. No one in their right mind who is working online would say it is easier to establish yourself online. Offline is very easy to generate clients. You can speak to people, you can build relationships very quickly. Whereas online, you need a certain set of skills to be successful. You need a certain set of skills. And if you are not constantly refining those skills and perfecting those skills, it's going to be a struggle. Just like offline, you need to be able to market offline, generate interest. Then you need to learn how to be able to convert that interest into paying customers. Online, you also need to do that, but it's a different way of doing it because there's other skills in order to get your message out there, and other skills you need to then convert that interest into paying customers. Let's look at some of the key skills that people should be looking to hone and craft when it comes to online coaching that might slightly differ to offline. So we know it's marketing, we know it's sales, but how does the methods and the skills differ when you go online?
Man, that's a great question. And with in-person coaching, I mean, it's great, and you can be a great coach, like the absolute best coach that you can be, and your business can blow up because of it. But when you transition more online, just because you're a great coach doesn't necessarily translate into clients, doesn't necessarily translate into monthly income like it could if you're in the gym and you're doing stuff inside your local community. Really understanding the different skills and the different systems that you need to have in place when you're starting to make this transition is important. And if we're not talking about sales or marketing, which obviously are pretty general and everybody gets that you need to have in place, honestly, one of the biggest skills that you need to have and continually refine over time, like it doesn't matter how big you are, you need to continually get better at it, is communication. It is communication, especially online, because it's so noisy. There's so much shit and there's so much just general noise out there. How are you going to cut through it? Like, why should someone listen to you? Why should, if you're talking about all of this nutrition stuff, that's great, but why should someone take time out of their day when they're looking at YouTube, when they're scrolling on Instagram, when they're on Facebook, when they're getting all these phone calls? Why should they listen to you? And being able to clearly communicate certain aspects of what makes your coaching unique, what makes your message with a video or a post, whatever you're talking about inside of your communication, what makes it differentiated from a lot of the competition, and just really understanding to speak to your ideal type of clients and really zero in on, okay, I know exactly what their lifestyle is. I know exactly what they're struggling with right now and what this means inside of their life, instead of just a surface level. Like, yeah, I know you find it hard to track calories. Yeah, I know that it's hard for you to get to the gym. okay, but how does that make them feel? How does that trickle down to their relationships? How does that trickle down to their performance at work? And really speaking to that and going that level deeper is what is really going to galvanize your marketing, your communication, your content, everything that you're putting out there. And really doing that deep work is important, because I'm sure you can agree with me here, Alex. A lot of coaches will say, okay, I found my niche and I'm making content, but nobody's resonating with it. And it's because it's still very general, and you haven't really done the deep work to understand them, understand their feelings, understand what those pain points are. And you're still talking about the same stuff that everybody else is. And it requires a little bit more work when you start transitioning online to essentially do the homework and do the deep work on understanding the psychology of your ideal type of client, understanding that lifestyle, understanding those feelings, those emotional triggers, those desires, because that's what makes your marketing like exponentially better, your communication exponentially better. So really learning how to communicate in that style, I think is such an important trait and skill to learn and develop and master over time. And it's something I wish that someone told me when I started to transition online, because you think it's easy. You think it's just, okay, I'm just going to put up a link and inside of my Instagram profile and I'm going to be fine. But that's not how it works at all. And really,
and maybe it did 5 years ago. You could put up like, I'm running a program for the next 12 weeks. It's X amount. Here is the PayPal link. Boom. People would sign up. But the market's super sophisticated now. And the market is also looking for specialist solutions. So to touch on what you said about like pinpointing a specific niche, and obviously this comes up all the time, but I still don't think people get it into their heads that you have to let go of trying to serve everyone. You have to let go of trying to serve everyone, because if you do in the online space and your messaging is trying to appeal to everyone, you will appeal to no one.
Absolutely. And it's really important to clearly communicate that, because it's very counterintuitive for a lot of people who are just starting this transition, a lot of coaches who are just starting it. And don't get me wrong, if you are very general and you have a big heart, you want to help everyone, that's great. And that's kind of how a lot of coaches start. And yes, you can get a few clients from that. Like, don't get me wrong, if that's your goal, just to make a little bit of income, then sure, that's okay. But if you want to get to 5 figures a month, if you want to continually increase it, you need to zero in. And it's like, yeah, you can go to a used car dealership and try and get the best deal on a used car with all of these different options, which is what your ideal types of clients would do to you. If you're trying to help everyone, they're going to try and bargain you down because there's no specialty. But if you go to a Mercedes dealership or a BMW dealership, you know that client is going to pay top dollar for a very premium product. And that's the same with zeroing in on an ideal type of client and becoming a specialist inside of that realm. And really clearly understanding that duality between the two is really important if you want to see a lot of success online.
Yeah, there's lots of different things we can cover. I mean, like, from the outside, online might seem quite simple to a lot of people. And it can be to a degree if you're just selling very low ticket offers. You're not dialing in a niche. You're not getting very specific with who you help and how you help them and getting amazing results for a specific group of people. It can seem kind of like an easy way to make money. And it can be extra income, but when we're talking about this 10K a month mark, which is kind of the headline here on this podcast, there's certain things that you have to really work on. We've already covered, obviously, dialing into a niche and getting specific about who you speak to and doing the deep research on them to understand their pain points and what they're going through as humans and where they want to get to. Like, you've got to go a couple of levels deeper. You've got to try and figure these things out. And it's a process of learning that. You don't get it overnight. You've got to do the research, then you've got to test the market, then you've got to see if there's a response, then you've got to speak to people, then you've got to onboard people into your programs, then you figure out new things about them. And it's a constant evolution of refining that niche and offer. But I want to talk about sales. Because a lot of coaches will blindly believe that they just need leads. If I've just got plenty of leads or I've got Facebook ads, I'm good. I'll be
Mm-hmm.
successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to stand here and disagree, because it's true. You'd agree, Will, people do need leads. Most
Right.
trainers and coaches need more leads. But you can have all the leads in the world, but if you don't know how to convert a high ticket offer, you will not be able to make 10K a month. If you do not know how to convert cold traffic or people that are showing interest online into high paying online coaching clients, then you're not going to make more than you would make it on the gym floor. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And so from a sales perspective, you and I both know how important it is. I teach this to the PTs on the gym floor to make sure their conversion ratios are like 30% plus, if not 50%, and they're converting at the highest price point in the gym. That is my core objective. Same when we go online, is trying to raise our clients' prices as high as possible. One, because it gets better client results, but also that's the whole point, that it's a high ticket program. From a sales perspective, I don't want to get into the weeds of like your exact framework and the script and the close and the deposits and the split pays and all the intricacies. But like, have you got a certain approach and a philosophy? Because I imagine you do. The way that you speak and the way that I've seen you deliver content. Have you got like a sales philosophy or anything you've kind of leveraged or used, or anything you can give the audience to really drive home the importance of sales and why it's important to think about it, have a philosophy, and get good at it if you want to be successful online?
Yeah, man. And I can open up a can of worms here for sure, but
Open it up, bro.
That,
Open it up.
something that is really core to my philosophy and training, and I'm sure similar to yours as well, Alex, is really investing in your prospect before they invest in you, and really understanding how to appeal to their human side before you talk about your offer, before you talk about how exactly you can help them moving forward is really important. And I cover this in my value-driven prospect strategy, which I do a lot of trainings on. But the sales is obviously a delicate dance, and it's almost like this orchestra of things that need to happen, especially for high ticket sales moving forward. And if you get any part of it wrong, it can break down the entire sale. It can break down the entire cycle, for sure, in communication. And even at the beginning of it, and I can take you through it all, but at the beginning of it is the most important, because, and you can pipe in anytime you want, Alex, through what you're seeing in the industry and on the online space. But the beginning of it is, in my opinion, going to set up the entire sale and can really help you understand how fast or slow it can go moving forward. And if you're just playing a numbers game, or if you're just trying to reach out to 50 people a day, 100 people a day, and you're just kind of trying to churn and burn, as spray and pray your message to as many people as possible, how many prospects are actually going to resonate with that message? How many prospects are actually going to respond to you or even take you seriously moving forward? And really developing a strategy that is more quality over quantity, I think, is really important, going back to what we were talking about at the beginning of this podcast in terms of how the industry is changing and how it's shifting moving forward. And really understanding this is key, because, and I use this example a lot, you wouldn't go to a coffee shop and just go up to some random person in line and say, "Hey, how are your health and fitness goals going in 2020?" Like you wouldn't do that. Like that wouldn't be your first message to someone you've never met before. So why are you DMing people this exact thing? Because it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just on the online space. So how can we have a better system and a better strategy where you can connect with someone on a human level and then start to transition towards how exactly you can help them based off your conversation or what you see on their profile moving forward? And really developing a strategy like that, especially at the beginning of your sales process, your lead generation process, is important. And most coaches don't take the time to do that because they think it's a numbers game, or they think that, okay, I need to send out 100 or 50 DMs a day, and that's how I'm going to get clients. And yes, there's some validity to numbers, but with that being said, what are the quality of the clients that you're going to get from that, from a shitty strategy? Probably not very good. So really increasing the quality of appealing to someone's emotions, appealing to their human side first and foremost, and then transitioning into what your coaching could be at the front end of your system or your funnel, whatever it may be, is really, really key. And developing a strategy that's specific to your message and your ideal type of client is what's going to totally change the game for you when it comes to the beginning process of sales.
Mm-hmm. What I'm hearing here, Will, is like investing more time on the front end, even before like the call.
Yes.
Because a lot of people in sales will just assume that sales happens on the call or in the console.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the sales cycle is starting way earlier than that. It's starting at that first initial point of contact. So like you market to someone, they've got a perception of you, then they come into your ecosystem, then from there they get nurtured. And that then translates into how easy or how difficult it's going to be when you get to the call. And what you're talking about is investing more time here to make sure that those relationships are built. And I love your analogy about walking into a coffee shop. It's kind of like just walking off the street, like you said, and just opening your mouth and just shouting, "Hey, I'm a personal trainer who wants coaching."
Yeah, exactly.
And that's how a lot of coaches will behave online when, like you said, it's a delicate dance.
Mm-hmm.
I like that analogy, a delicate dance where like you've got to be tasteful. You can't just slide into people's DMs and go straight for the kill. Like have a little bit of audacity and build some meaningful relationships with people and understand like where they're coming from, where their pain points are, and cultivate those relationships even before the phone call.
Yeah, absolutely. And like if you're going to have a sales call with someone, in my opinion, and probably some coaches have different views on this, but in my opinion, someone should already be 50 to 70 or 80% sold before you even hop on a phone call with someone. That's the best way I like to do it. I never like to force or sell someone on the phone call. I like to have everything I've done before the phone call seriously set up in the way where if we're booking in a call, there's a very, very high chance that you're going to become a client based off of what we've done before the call. And a lot of coaches don't like that or don't do that because they think, okay, well, if I spend a lot of time on this prospect before the call, and if they just screw off or they don't respond, then I wasted this time. And that's actually the opposite way to look at it, because if you're enrolling a client on a phone call and you're forcing them on a sale and they weren't really totally in, they're kind of unclear on a few things, and you twist their arm enough for them to hop into your program, that yeah, you got the sale, but they're going to request a refund, or it's just going to be a problem client down the road. And I would rather identify that before I hop on a phone call with them and spending an hour on a phone call with them than doing the call and wasting that time. That's my opinion. So really understanding that you have to go deep with someone before you go through your strategy, you go through that phone call, in my opinion, I think is important. And it's earning the right to talk about your coaching as well, I think is key. And a lot of coaches don't earn that right. What do I mean by earn the right? If I'm reaching out to someone on Facebook because I know they've been watching all my stories, they've been engaging with my content, I know that this is an ideal type of client for, let's say, my health and fitness coaching program. I'm not just going to slide into their DMs and say, just like I said a couple minutes ago, hey, like, how are your health fitness goals going in 2020? Sure, that's an okay opening line, but they're getting that from 10 other coaches. So how can you stand out? How can you be different? Well, I'm going to do a little bit of work. And I've done this in a couple of free trainings I do for clients or just in Facebook groups. Like I will see their name on Facebook. I'll look them up on LinkedIn. I'll understand what their job is. I'll look up their company website and look at their about profile. I'll understand, okay, are they on Facebook? Do they have kids? Yes, they do. Okay. There's so much I can talk about before we even talk about coaching, where I can connect with them in the opening message so that we can connect first and foremost on a human level and then transition more into coaching if that's a need, if you've set it up in the right way. And people like to buy from people. They don't want to just buy a program. They don't want to just buy a fitness coaching program. They want to buy from someone they like, they trust, they know is actually in it for the right reasons. And you need to prove that to someone at the beginning of your entire strategy, instead of trying to twist their arm on a sales call and then force them into something moving forward. So it's a little bit counterintuitive to to what a lot of people are taught in today's industry, but in my opinion, that's the right way to go about it in today's age.
Mm. I think we can get caught up in the numbers sometimes as
Mm-hmm.
marketers, as sales professionals, business owners. It's always like, what do the metrics say? Are we DMing enough people? Are we booking enough calls? And sometimes you can get caught up in the quantity and compromise the quality. Kind of like you mentioned at the start, it's not about quantity all the time. It's about the quality of the conversations and the interactions, because that will lead to better quality conversions as well.
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
I do like the philosophy of investing more on the front end, because like if you don't invest as much on the front end, like nurturing, and you book the calls, then the show up rate is going to be lower. And
Definitely.
equally, like the conversion rate is going to be lower. So it's going to compromise the business in some way. So I personally as well would rather invest more time on the front end. Like, obviously, if people are ready to go and they're hot and they want help and they've got a painful problem, let's go. Let's have a conversation about how we can fix that. Let's do it. And anyone listening to this, like, you don't have to delay the sales process if someone is advancing and they want help. Our core job as coaches is find a painful problem. If people are aware of the problem, fix it fast for them. People want quick results, but that's probably only 5% of the market that are ready to buy from you right now. Most of the market, the next 50%, are going to buy at some point in the future, maybe 30, 60, 90 days or more from now. And then there'll be another portion of people, the last 45%, who will never buy from you. They're just not interested. They don't like your beard, or that you're from Canada, or that I'm from the UK, or they're already working with another coach, or they don't like coaches, whatever it is. There's a portion of people that will never buy from you. But what we've always got to remember in this process is, okay, only 5% of the market are ready to go right now. So that means the biggest portion of the market that are going to potentially buy from me are going to need some time, care, and attention building those relationships and that know, like, and trust. And if people just switch their thinking from not attacking that 5% like hungry dogs and start being a little bit more relaxed and focusing on that bigger chunk of people, then I think people will be a lot more successful and a lot more sane when it comes to online, and won't pull your hair out wondering why it's not working.
Yeah, dude, I can totally resonate with all of that. And instead of looking at a prospect with dollar signs in your eyeballs, like, look at them as the human first. Look at them as, what is their lifestyle? What are their problems? What are they currently going through? What is the thing that they're wanting to achieve that they're not right now? And it's not allowing them to do some things inside of their life that they want to do. And how can your coaching help them not only get this result, but also, because they got this result, they're then allowed to do the things inside of their life that they really want to do. And when you view a person, a prospect, anyone, a human being through that lens, and you can communicate through that archetype, for example, that's when you're going to have a great conversation. That's when you're going to book effortless sales calls and have a great all-in type of client who wants to work with you. And it's almost changing the view, or changing the lens in which you're viewing prospects with, to really make sure that the quality and the show up rate of calls is much, much higher. And you're appealing more to the human side of them versus the manipulation, the sales, the twist their arm type side.
I always on this show, well, more recently, in fact, like to have a little nosy on people's profiles. And I was looking at your profile just beforehand, just scanning through posts. I love to see what other business mentors and coaches are putting out there. I like to read the copy. I like to look at the images and just kind of get a vibe for what you're about and what you post. And you posted something recently in the last 24 hours, actually. And I want to unpack this a little bit. 2 things that separate successful from unsuccessful online fitness coaches. And one of the things that you put on there is the ability to make decisions. Let's talk about that for a second. Why is that so important? Well, the ability to make decisions to be successful.
Fail fast, fail forward. Those are 2 of the most important things that you can do as an entrepreneur. If you're always so stuck in your head, which so many of us are, and you have all of these different decisions that you need to make or that you want to make, or these different ideas, and you're not really taking action on any of them, or this is the direction you need to go in order to grow your business, but you're waiting for this outside circumstance that's outside of your control to be in place first before you do this thing which is going to grow your business. Then you're playing this waiting game, and you're not in control of things, and you're not going to see the results that you want to see. Versus entrepreneur B, who knows this is what they need to do, and he's not waiting for this outside circumstance, because he knows he just has to go all in. He's going to get resourceful. He's going to figure it out. He's going to do things as he goes in order to achieve it. Think of how much more entrepreneur B is going to figure out once he's going through this path, versus entrepreneur A, who's waiting for 6 months. Whereas entrepreneur B got 6 months worth of trying, failing. Fuck, I figured it out. Now he's got this 6-figure business. Whereas entrepreneur B was waiting this whole time. And that's the difference. That's kind of the duality between someone who can make decisions quickly and adjust quickly, versus someone who's waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then never really gets to where they want to go, and blames outside circumstances for their current circumstance. And really understanding this is key, because obviously it's scary. Obviously you're putting yourself out there. Obviously you're risking failure or financial resources or whatever it may be, due to whatever circumstance it is. But understanding as an entrepreneur, and especially as an online coach, with the landscape that's changing month after month, week after week almost, that you need to make decisions, you need to act quickly, and you need to fail forward. And a lot of other coaches talk about this too, and I do believe in it. Yes, if you're hiring a coach or you're hiring a mentor, or you buy a course and it didn't necessarily work out, that's okay. That's okay. Like, now you learn something that doesn't work, and you can tweak, you can adjust moving forward, or it doesn't matter what it is inside of the decisions that you need to make as an entrepreneur or as an online coach. Just really understanding that a decision does need to be made in a short amount of time, and learning from your process through that is key. And if you're commonly waiting, you're not going to get to where you want to go. You're not going to see the results that you want to see.
I want to add something onto that, because you talk about waiting for outside circumstances to be perfect before taking action. And it's a trap, really. And our minds are designed to keep us safe, aren't they? They're designed to keep us in the safe zone. I get this all the time with the personal trainers that I work with on the gym floor. Naturally, they don't want to speak to people because they fear the outcome, and the outcome's not perfect.
Right.
The outcome's not perfect, and they can't control the environment the way they want to. And so it's scary, and it's the same with anything in life. But to be successful, like you said, you've got to get comfortable with things not being perfect. And you've got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable if you want to move forward, because growth and discomfort coexist together.
Yeah.
So you're never going to feel good about something that is generally the best direction for you to move in. It's going to feel scary. Those chemicals are going to be coursing through your veins. You're going to be worried about, what if this happens or that happens? But if you allow that to hold you a prisoner, it will significantly delay your success and progress, and it will keep you stuck where you are. You've got to take risks, and you've got to have blind faith sometimes if you want to advance, because nothing is guaranteed in this life other than maybe death. Sorry to be a bit morbid, pull the vibe down, but nothing is really guaranteed, right? Yeah. But it's how you respond, like you said, not react, but how you respond. Because you can, once you go into something, you can then adapt as you're in the situation, and you respond, and you can find things to benefit from that process and learn from it. We were just talking about the mastermind that we were in, and investing into that mastermind, which is not cheap, right? Is a decent amount of change. And we're talking about like what we got out of it. I got a lot of things out of it, and so did you too. But we were just talking about one 30-minute phone call that we got from that mastermind that was worth the whole thing. I'm pretty confident that will make me and my business partners multiple 7 figures. Just that one phone call and realization, oh, we were missing that.
Mm-hmm.
and someone who knows what they're doing to tell you you were missing that. But going into that process and making that investment, I didn't know what was beyond handing over that money and going into that situation and going and knowing what was coming. Like, it wasn't a perfect scenario. It was a blind faith moment. Let's just do this and let's just figure it out as we go along. We just made that decision. And there's a reason why you're advancing, your clients advancing, our clients are advancing, we're advancing quicker, is because we're acting on decisions and we're trying to make them as quickly as possible to collapse time and not wait for a perfect moment, because it doesn't fucking exist.
Man, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, not just like with large financial decisions as well. I mean, even on the personal side of things. And if I can share a quick story about myself, which I haven't even really shared publicly.
Ooh, this is a first.
Yeah.
Coaching Ignited first. He's
Um,
debuting the story, man. Fill us in.
yeah, man. So, 2019 was, especially the tail end of 2019 was the hardest year of my life. I was with my girlfriend at the time for about 3 years. I thought she was the one. I thought, this was going to be it. I had a place that I was about to buy out west. We were going to move in together. I was going to propose to her once we flew out there. I literally had everything planned out. Everything was ready to go in that respect, and told all my friends about it. Had everything ready to go. This was around fall of last year, 2019, so September-ish, and then I found out that she was seeing someone else for the past few months. So we took a break for a few months, obviously, and had some things to figure out as individuals before we can figure out what this relationship is going to look like, or if it's going to move forward. And we made the decision to part ways after a couple months of being on a break, and then just a month after that, I come to find out that she's engaged to this guy. Which was quite the kicker, man. And for me, trying to balance all of these different plates, as well as where I thought my life was going at this point in time, totally switching that path, totally switching that trajectory, was quite the kick in the teeth, and questioning myself, self-doubt, not thinking I'm enough, and some of that starting to translate into my business. I had every excuse to take a break for a little while, or kind of shut things down for a little while, and kind of regroup and heal, which I did do. But also at the same time, there's a lot of different decisions that needed to be made inside of my business at that point in time, and making sure that didn't suffer, even though I was going through this painful part in my life. Making sure that the business still ran and the clients were still getting served, and I was still making the decisions that I needed to make inside of that business was important, and growing it to where it is today. And I made a lot of changes because I understood what works better and what I wanted out of my life at that point in time. I made a lot of different decisions in my business that changed things in order to run more efficiently to where it is now. And I love where it is now, and it's growing really rapidly. We're hiring team members, which is great, and clients are seeing great results. But I had this outside circumstance in my life that was really screwing me up mentally and emotionally, and that was trickling down into my business. So yes, that sucked, and I had every almost opportunity to give up and try something else, or whatever it may be. But understanding that whatever you're going through, yes, take your time to heal, take your time to process, but also don't let the other things inside of your life that you need to keep up, don't let that fall off. Don't let that fail, because it's really important to have that platform for what your comeback is after you've gone through an adverse situation. Because I talk to prospects all the time who can't necessarily invest into a program or whatever it may be due to some circumstance. And I get it. I've been through a lot of shit as well. I've been through a lot of adverse circumstances as well. But a lot of times you think that you can't do something because of this event, where it's actually the opposite. It's actually the opposite. You can do something because of this event, and almost reframing it and shedding light in a different perspective when some of these things happen is really, really important, and can really set yourself up for a whole other level of growth that maybe you didn't otherwise realize that you had.
Sorry to hear about what happened, man. I can't imagine that as easy, getting your heart ripped out and stamped on. I've had that as well, but I don't think I was a long time ago now. But I had that as well. I had a similar situation, not as probably deep as you. I was a lot younger, and I probably knew deep down it wasn't going to be a long-term thing anyway. I was in my younger years, but for you, obviously it being fairly recent. How recent?
Yeah, a couple months ago.
And you're an older guy now, so for you, like, you're looking for like a stable relationship, a partner, someone you're probably going to spend the rest of your life with. So to have that happen, I imagine that's horrible. It's heartbreaking, but I love how you handled it in terms of like your perspective, because there's going to be things that happen to all of us. People listening to this will probably relate to being cheated on, or being in an accident, or a family bereavement, or something that happens, because life isn't perfect. It's never going to be plain sailing for all of us. Touch wood, nothing severe has happened to me lately.
Right.
And touch wood, hopefully nothing severe happens to you again for the next decade. But we've got to also like be aware that those things can happen, but you've also got to be strong enough to not let it derail everything. You can't let it derail everything, because then you're going to lose absolutely everything. Not just one portion of your life, which is replaceable. Like, you can lose everything, and then the time lag to then get it all back going again is going to be severely higher than it would have been if you'd just kept things going, like you said, and keep working on things, keep pushing things forward. And I think a lot of the time when you have an outside issue, like a personal issue outside of work, having a business, and the guys listening to this, is a great vehicle to escape those things. It gives you some focus. It gives you some purpose. It gives you some direction and goals and things to hold on to whilst you're going through a rocky ride over here. But if you let your business crumble around you at the same time, you've got nothing to hang on to. You've got nothing to keep you going. And that's a dark place to be. So a lot of respect for how you handled that. Obviously, you're clearly self-aware and mature at this age to know that life goes on.
Yeah, thank you, man. I appreciate that. But it definitely takes a little bit of foresight and a little bit of self-awareness in order to process things quickly and make sure that you're able to effectively move forward and fulfill the duties that you need to in other areas in your life. And even for the listeners listening, I mean, like, everybody has that adverse circumstance that they go through at different times in their life. But understanding that it doesn't have to be detrimental to all other aspects inside of your life moving forward is important, and really making sure that you can compartmentalize a little bit in terms of different duties that need and decisions that need to be made inside of different areas of your life is key. But with that being said, I mean, we're not robots. Like, you have to heal, you have to process things, you have to go through your emotional stages, which, don't get me wrong, I went through as well. But that's when, and this goes back to our whole conversation about even getting clients online and appealing to their human side. When you go through stuff like that, this is when you rely on your network, on your friends, on your team members inside of your business to maybe rise up a little bit, which had to happen in my business. And again, bringing it like full circle for this podcast, like human connection is everything, guys. It is everything. And when you can relate to people, when you can understand how to communicate to people through times of challenge, times of adversity, times of despair, and connect on certain levels. I mean, that's everything moving forward. And even through prospect conversations, sales conversations, like the pain points that your prospects are going through, how can you relate to that? Like, how can you be like, yeah, I've been there, and here's the process I used to get out of that, and here's potentially what you could do as well. Having that human connection is important, and translating that, to transition more into sales, translating that into how you show up online, how you communicate online, is really going to help skyrocket your brand moving forward. So that's something really important to keep in mind.
Awesome point to end this podcast on. I love it when we go a little bit deeper, We're going deeper beyond just the tactics and the
Yeah.
DMs and the strategies. And it's kind of following the same theme as what we were saying at the start, where it's like that human element. The more you can humanize what you do, make it real, be authentic, build relationships, relate, show vulnerabilities, show your flaws as well as your ups.
Definitely.
Then that's going to make you successful online.
Definitely.
I'm not perfect. Will's not perfect.
Me neither.
Like, none of us are perfect, and we need to embrace our imperfections, because that's where our strongest points of connection are, in those imperfections.
Man, that's a great point. I love that. I want to put that on bumper sticker, man. That's perfect.
You'll be driving around Canada with that bumper sticker, and I'll see you. I'll spot you. I'm coming to Vancouver this year.
Oh, dude, when? That's awesome.
It's not finalized, but I'll be coming over to see Dave Smith and Lucy and hit the mountains probably. So it'll probably be tail end. Going to Ibiza next week, and then I'm going to Nepal, and then I'll probably go Vancouver after that.
Oh, dude. Okay, well, let me know, because I'm moving out there, so we'll definitely.
Nice. I know a couple of people out there now. I had some guests on my show recently who are out in that neck of the woods. Could be a good meetup on the cards.
Definitely. British Columbia is God's country, man. It's beautiful out there. You're gonna love it. You ever been to Canada?
Never been to Canada.
Oh man,
but,
you're missing out. You gotta
I'm a big skier, and I've gotten way more into like nature and the outdoors over the last year. And obviously I've looked at like all the hiking and all the mountain biking, and you've got the city and you've got the beach, and then you've got the mountains, and you just got everything when it comes to nature. I need to get in that. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
I love all that stuff.
Dude, I love it. Yeah. Come out. Let's link up. We'll have a good time. We'll have a couple pops and enjoy it out here, man.
Nice, man. All right, let's wrap this thing up. For anyone listening, where can they find you?
You can find me on all the socials, just by searching my name, Will Schiller, or searching The New Age Coach. Or you can hop on my website, newagecoach.com, and you can check out everything I've got going on there, and we can connect.
Nice. New Age Coach. Where did that come from?
It came from, honestly, man, there was this shop in this town I used to live in a couple of years ago. There was this shop just called The New Age, and it had all these cool products and like health and wellness, like products that they sell. And I love that name. And then just for my branding, I wanted to really position myself as doing things that are different from a lot of the other business coaches that were out there at the time. And it just fit perfectly for what I wanted to accomplish with my branding. And then it clicked right away, and we've rolled with it ever since.
No, it's nice. New Age Coach. I like it. All right, guys, anyone listening, go check out Will. Thank you for coming on the show, man. It's been awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Alex. Thanks so much for the invite, man. This has been awesome.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the podcast. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did enjoy it, I'd be really grateful if you could leave a short review on one of the platforms. And if you're a personal trainer in a commercial gym with 500 plus members and you want to fast track your income growth and learn how to sign multiple new clients a week, reach out to me personally through Facebook or Instagram and just drop me a private message so we can get the conversation started and see if you could be a good fit for one of our programs. All the links to my social can be found in the show notes, so we can connect there. See you next week.